Everyone who's joining, we're about to go live with Alexandra Carter, who is a negotiation expert from Colombia. Welcome to everyone who is joining us. Hi to everyone on our Zoom call as well. Alexandra, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day. Do you want to give us a quick background on who you are and why you love negotiating?
Yeah, I would love it. So I'm so excited to be joining you. As you said, I'm a professor at Columbia Law School. I teach negotiation, and I've been teaching people for the last, decade plus, really how to get better results from all of their conversations, right? Whether it's in the workplace or in the home. And especially over the last year, as I've been writing a book, I've connected with so many people, especially around the idea of helping women to get better results from every negotiation they have. And, really, Meggie, my mission is empowerment and equity through negotiation. So it really aligns with your mission at PepTalkHer, and I'm so excited to be with you.
Well, likewise, and I want to jump straight on in, and if anyone has questions, feel free to send them through on the Zoom Live or on Instagram. There's some uncertain times. What are your top tips for negotiating right now?
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, you want to be thinking about the types of uncertainty you're dealing with. And I know, Meggie, for me, it's helpful to think about, even if I know what I'm grappling with and I can separate those out into the parts, I'm better equipped to deal with it. So let me give you a few types of uncertainty that people can face during this period. One is factual uncertainty, right? There's a lot we don't know about COVID, the pandemic itself. There's a lot we don't know about how it's going to affect our economies and our industries. There's a lot we don't know about how long it's going to go on and what's going to happen on the other side. And when we think about the factual complexity of that, it's broken down usually into a few different elements. Like one of them, for example, is ambiguity. So thinking about how credible or reliable or complete is the information I'm getting in. And that's something for you really to assess. If you know that you have an ambiguity issue around information, you want to write each piece of information down that you're getting. You want to work with a team, if you have one, to assess sort of how reliable, how complete do you think this is, and then work to supplement where you can, right? So if you're dealing with factual complexity, I recommend breaking it all out and then thinking about how you can marshal your team and where you're going to need additional resources to fill in that picture. Another way that people can experience uncertainty is with emotions. So this is obviously a heightened emotional time for everybody. It's not as though on January 1 of this year, the entire world said, let's do an orderly transition to working from home, such that by mid-March, we're all going to be completely set up. We're going to know what we're doing. Absolutely not. This was done as a crash, right? And not only was it done as a crash, but it was done in the midst of an economic crisis and a global health crisis, okay? So I want to give people two things to watch out for emotionally when they are having challenging conversations at this time, okay? The first is fear, right? You're going to see a lot of people experiencing fear, especially around all of this uncertainty. You're also going to see people experiencing guilt. How could I have done more to prepare? Why didn't I put my business in a position where I could anticipate this? And when people have fear and guilt when they negotiate, they often stuff it down and it comes out as anger, irritability, and frustration. So is anybody seeing any of those either in themselves or people they're talking to during this time? If so, this is a byproduct of uncertain times. And so what I would say is, if you are having a negotiation with somebody and you're getting that from the other side, okay, I find it useful to take down the anger by basically acknowledging some of the fear and saying, listen, I want you to know that while we're having an issue on this one contract, I value this customer relationship and I want to find a way to work together for the long period, right? So finding ways to reassure, right, and compartmentalize stuff can help to take some of that emotion down.
And a couple of people are sending some questions overnight before we kicked off today, and they're wanting to know, like, can you even negotiate in times like this? Like, are you allowed to?
Tell you first of all what negotiation is, okay? Negotiation is not just a back and forth over money. Negotiation is steering relationships. And you better believe that you're not only going to be steering your relationships through this crisis, you're going to be doing extra steering, right? So, and that's the same for me, whether I'm dealing with homeschooling my third grader, which I can't even, okay? Negotiating with my spouse over the home office, which I'm currently occupying, or whether I'm trying to manage all of the different customer and student relationships in my life. But you can absolutely, even if you're pitching for work, you can negotiate in a crisis, and you should. Why? Because do you believe in the value of what you have to offer? Do you know that what you have could serve people? If so, then you should continue to offer it. Here's how I have thought about it during this time. When you're negotiating in a crisis, the relationship piece becomes extra important. People want to know that they can trust you. They want to have a sense that you're a whole, complete person, that you are generous, and that you have a desire to serve. So one way you might help to negotiate during this period is by leading with a service offer. You know, I've been working during this period and giving a ton of free webinars. And that was my first thought when all of this hit, was just, I need to stay busy. I'm going to put something out that everybody can use, and they can replay it as often as they want. Do you know, I have received more offers for paid speaking, like in the 2 weeks that I started doing that, than I did before. And why is that? It's because when you put stuff out that's free and of value, people want to work with you. So I would say absolutely keep negotiating, keep pitching, lead with service, and focus on building those relationships and genuinely serving people. And you're going to find that you're successful.
So for people who haven't read your book, can you just talk us through, like, what are the 3 top things when it comes to negotiation?
Number one is, so 3 things. Number one, what kinds of questions are you asking? And are you asking questions? I think a lot of times people assume, right, especially if they're, you know, newer to negotiation, or frankly, if they're unmoored by a crisis, they go in and they just start frantically pitching people. Like, here's what I have, here's what I have, here's what I have. No, right? You need to lead with questions now more than ever, right? Tell me how things are going in your business. Tell me ways that I can serve you. Tell me what you need most to get you through this next quarter, okay? Leading with questions is a critical skill to help you connect with people. You also need to make sure that you are doubling down on your preparation, okay? And preparation means that you are, in fact, asking yourself the right questions. So, and I'll give you, so my book gives 10 questions that people can use to negotiate anything. 5 you ask yourself, and 5 you ask somebody else. Let me give you a great question that you should ask yourself to start out every negotiation. You should be asking yourself, what's the problem I want to solve? And why is this so key right now, Meggie? It's because everywhere we look, we're confronted with problems that we cannot solve. I can't solve COVID. I can't solve the fact that my book tour has gone, you know, it's virtual now, right? But what can I do? I can continue to serve people. I can continue to connect with people, right? There are still problems that I can solve out there. I think a lot of times when we're in this kind of a crisis, we're either trying to solve the unsolvable, or we can only look at what's right in front of our face. So we want to be thinking about not just what's the problem I'm solving today, but long range, what am I still working toward? Okay, so I would say ask other people questions, ask yourself questions. And during this time, something that I think is critically important is to be, right, decisive in how you are making your proposals. You don't want to be sort of scattershot. Okay, so you want me to mute on my laptop. Okay, is this better? Yes, okay. You don't want to be scattershot pitching everybody and trying every last avenue. I want you to strategically say no so that you can find your best yeses out there. In other words, in times of a crisis, I want to be thinking about not just who are my potential customers, but like who's my ideal? Who am I a perfect match for? What do they need? And how do I make an extremely tailored pitch that's going to work even during this time?
And then at a practical level, like a lot of people are struggling right now. There's a lot of people who are kind of worried about the next 3 to 6 months. What would you say to people who are kind of negotiating maybe from a place of fear or who haven't had a lot of practice negotiating? Like, are there any practical things that people can be negotiating at the moment?
Are there practical things that people can be negotiating at the moment? And maybe, Meggie, could you say a bit more about who's the woman I'm talking to? Sort of what's she going through right now? And then let me give you a couple thoughts.
Right. So I had a woman who sent us through a question who was asking whether she's still allowed to ask for a raise because she's had a really great year. And then another woman from Europe actually sent us an email overnight asking about like rent reductions and whether it's appropriate to try and negotiate with her landlord right now. So are there any practical tips like that that people can kind of put into practice now to kind of help them, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. I would tell that woman, both of those women, right, to think about how you are very likely the other person's best option. In other words, if you've had a great year, okay, a great year, the market is still going to be good for great people. And doesn't your employer want to keep you there and keep a star performer happy, right? And so I would still say, I want you to empower you, right, to go in and say, tough time, right? I've had a fantastic year. I'm really proud of what I've produced for this company. And I think we're going to need what I brought to the table last year even more next year, right? And so I'd like for us to work together to bring my compensation to a level that really reflects that. Done, right? Same thing with the landlord, okay? I would go in and I would say, listen, right? So it's not going to happen this month, all right? Here's what's happened, but I want to tell you, I think I have strong prospects for recovery. I know I have strong prospects for recovery. Here are all the steps I've taken to pivot my business. And this climate, in the amount of time that it would take for you to get somebody else in here and get them up and running at a time when lots of businesses are going out of business, I think I'm an attractive option and I think we should continue this partnership, right? So, empower yourself. The book is called Ask for More. Like, you should always ask, right? And chances are, we women tend to undervalue ourselves. You're almost always somebody's best option. So act like it.
I love that way of reframing it, that you're probably their best option, because I think a lot of the women who'd reached out to us were kind of like fearful, I think. And perhaps that's because they hadn't considered or didn't believe that they were in fact the best option.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. So we've got 2 minutes left. So I just want to wrap it up. Can you give people your best top 3 tips for anyone who's like about to go out and have a negotiation conversation either with a client or with a boss or with their landlord in kind of the next, couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first of all, I would say this is a time more than ever to prepare and get centered. I think when you see the pace of the news, the pace of everything that's happening in the home, I would say now is really a time where you want to sit down and you want to be thinking about, okay, what's the problem I'm working to solve here? What do I really need, out of this negotiation? And get yourself set so that when you come in, right, because especially in an uncertain time, lots of changing circumstances, you want to really be prepared for that. The second is, I think, to have courage. A lot of times, as you said, people feel like in this crisis, either, it's not the right time for them to be claiming their worth or asking for what they deserve, or, even going out and trying to reach new people. Have confidence in who you are and what you have to offer. I just, over and over again, I have found that when I extend myself to people in service and I show that I have really taken the time to get to know them and what they need and how I can help, right? I make those connections. and I think, you know, the last thing is I would persevere. You know, think about the long haul. This is going to be a time when not everything we try works, right? But ultimately, I want people to go out and strive for the no. A lot of times we fear the no. I want you to strive for the no. And then I want you to hit me up on Instagram and celebrate with me that you got 5 no's that week. Okay. Why? Because the people who get the most no's are the most successful, because they are putting themselves out there the most, and therefore they're going to get the most yeses too. All right. So I want you to, you know, prepare, write, and have courage, and also strive for the no. And in doing that, you're going to come back to me in a month and tell me you got so many more yeses than you ever anticipated.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I love that advice, striving for the no. That's so awesome. So for anyone who doesn't already follow Alexandra on Instagram, you absolutely should, at Alexandra Carter. Have I got that correct?
It's Alexandra B. Carter. I got to the Instagram gate a little lame. Yeah, a little late, Maggie. So Alexandra B. Carter on Insta.
I love that. And you've got a book that's like already considered a huge success, and I don't even think it's officially launched. Where can people check it out?
Yeah, so it's coming out May 5th. That's right. My baby's being born in the middle of an international pandemic, but it's all good.
Pandemic child.
Book child. No, it's lovely. Yeah, so it's called Ask for More, 10 Questions to Negotiate Anything. And I would love it. In addition to, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes & Noble. I believe they're both functioning. It is also available from your indie bookstores, many of whom are offering delivery or curbside pickup. And so where possible, please support them. And you can also come find me on my website, alexcarterasks.com, where I'm going to be giving away portions of the book in advance to folks who sign up for my email list. And so I would love to see you there.
Yeah, and look, can I just say, like, I really recommend that everyone goes to alexcarterasks.com. There's some awesome worksheets on there that are free for you to download and use in your negotiating practice. So I highly recommend that. The book is awesome as well. Please check that out. It's a great Bible. We've all got some time on our hands right now, let's be honest. So good time to do some extra reading. And I'm really excited to hear all the no's that everyone gets after this great advice today. I'm going to go out and try and get some more no's today. I'm going to then tag you, Alexandra B. Carter, on Instagram and let you know how I've gone. So really excited to hear from everyone in the community who's also getting some no's this week. Hit us up and let us know how you go. Thank you so much for joining us for the live Daily Power Pep Talk, and we're excited to do it all again tomorrow. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thanks, Maggie. This has been great.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you. Thanks to all our Zoom team as well. Check out the webpage. It's awesome. And there's some free tips there. Alex's email is epic.
Oh,
so
hold on a second. What am I doing?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Highly recommend you jump on her email list as well. And for those of you who are in New York, hopefully once this all dies down, there'll be some IRL book events, Alex, and we'll make sure that we circulate those to the PepTalkHer community as well.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much for this. It's so great to have this is an example of the power of a female network, right? People reaching out in the midst of this to find ways to work together.
Yeah, there's a lot of synergies, and I love your advice. Ask for no, prepare and get centered, take the courage to ask, persevere, think long term. And yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me is celebrating the no's, because I think sometimes we kind of beat ourselves up for getting the no's, but actually we need to reframe that as every no is closer to a yes, right?
It sure is. And let me tell you, Maggie, the number of times people have said no, and then 2 months later they came back and they were like, so are you still offering that?
It's just a not right now, hey?
It's just a not right now.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's so powerful. And I think you've really given everyone today the courage to hopefully take that step. So really grateful for your time. We really appreciate it. We're so excited to devour the book. If you haven't already. And yeah, the website is super, super valuable as well. So good luck with the virtual book launch. We're definitely rooting for you, and we know it'll be a huge success. Can't wait to see you on the New York Times bestseller list.
Woo! Going for it, girl.
Yeah. Why not? Take care.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.